We'll be getting started in 1 minute here for everyone online. Good evening, everyone. Welcome. I'm Zen Master Sebastian Rizzon. I'm the founder of the Zen Art Center and the Mind Light Way School of Zen. And I lead these guided meditations on the first Thursday of every month. And I also hold a Dharma talk and guided meditation on the third Thursday of every month, same time, 7 p.m. And you can also find these streamed live on YouTube or anytime after on the Zen Art Center YouTube channel. So if you ever want to see what we're doing and you can't make it, or if you want to hear what I said again in one of these things, you can find it there. So the lessons and techniques I'll be teaching tonight are all based on my experience studying and teaching Zen for over 20 years. Prior to starting this school, I lived in a Buddhist temple for 16 years and became a master under my teacher, great Zen Master Kim. So the aim of Zen practice is to reach a state of effortless, continuous engagement with what is present in consciousness in every moment. You can think of it like a flow state where you feel an expanded awareness of everything going on around you and your actions flow through you without overthinking. While this is a natural state, it's still challenging for many people to operate like this. This is because we're conditioned to think about the world conceptually. We constantly label, categorize, and characterize everything that we experience in order to make associations which help us understand and survive and thrive in the world. However, the downside is this way of thinking can cause us to lose sight of the true nature of our own reality. We start to mistake these abstractions for what is real. The words and labels we use sometimes cause us to view the world as separate, independent objects and events. This causes us to lose sight of our interdependence and the interconnectedness of everything. When we lose sight of our interconnectedness to our world, it makes us feel separate. And this is ultimately the cause of all the discontent and unnecessary suffering that we experience. At the heart of Zen, we're trying to experience our awareness when it's completely free from these types of abstractions. What remains when we get rid of the filter of all of these concepts and ideas is just the experience of our true nature. So in today's guided meditation, we're going to practice some Zen techniques which can help us reach this type of awareness and hopefully help us alleviate some of our own suffering and discontent. So when we sit, we're just going to sit with our legs crossed. Try to keep your neck and back straight. If you're sitting in a chair, you can just try to keep your neck and back straight and keep your feet flat on the floor. Just try not to slouch so you don't hurt your back or neck. But if you do get uncomfortable in any of these positions, feel free to adjust yourself to something more comfortable. Don't feel like you have to kill yourself with some rigid form in sitting. And the hands, I usually suggest right hand, left hand, touching thumbs, centered in your lap. For most of these, we're going to have our eyes closed, and you just want to gently close your eyes. They would be at like a 45-degree angle if they're open, but just close them. Some of them, your eyes will be open, and if in those cases, you can just have your gaze at a 45-degree angle towards the floor. If you do get uncomfortable during any of this, feel free to stretch out. Just try to be respectful of the people meditating around you. So with that said, we're going to get started with a breathing technique that can help you prepare your body for meditation. I just want you to start breathing a little bit slower and a little bit deeper than you usually do. Visualize your heart in the center of your chest as you breathe. As you listen to me, I just want you to keep slowing down your breath and breathing a little bit deeper. Feel your breath coming in through your nose and mouth and collecting all of the energy from your head and from your brain and moving it from your head into your heart. Now imagine that you're breathing with your heart. The purpose of this breathing exercise is to try to align our mind, heart, and body. You can also place your hand on your heart and close your eyes if you'd like. And just keep breathing slow and deep. This is a technique you can use to relax or reset yourself whenever you feel nervous or anxious, or whenever you feel like you need to switch gears from different activities you're doing throughout the day. You can use it when you wake up, before you enter a stressful meeting, before you go to sleep, or before you meditate. If you keep practicing this technique, you can learn to reset yourself in any moment by reminding yourself to take some slow and deep breaths. For the next few meditations, we're going to use a few different types of mantras. The word mantra is a Sanskrit word that means a tool to liberate the mind. Tonight we'll be using different types of mantras to liberate our mind from the conceptual thoughts that prevent us from seeing our true nature. A mantra could be anything. Sometimes it's a simple word or phrase that's repeated within your mind. It could also be a deep question that you ask yourself. The idea is to focus on one thing in order to push all of the other thoughts out from your mind until it becomes clear. When your mind is completely focused in the moment, it reflects the true nature of everything. For the next portion of class, we're going to go through a few different mantras. For our first meditation, we're going to be using our breath to help us focus and clear our mind. For this technique, we just sit still and quietly count our breaths. During this meditation, try to stay focused on your breath. If you lose count, that's a sign that you've lost your focus. As soon as you have that realization, just start over and start counting again. You can do this technique with your eyes opened or closed. And if your eyes are open, you want to have them at a 45-degree gaze at the floor. So let's practice this together for a few minutes. You can open your eyes. The next meditation we're going to be doing is a sound meditation. So in this meditation, we're going to be using sound as our mantra. For this meditation, you just want to focus your mind on the resonance of the singing bowl and let the sound waves push out all of the thoughts from your mind and clear your mind. If thoughts come, just let them go and return to focusing on the sound. For our next meditation, we're going to be using a word or a phrase for our mantra by simply repeating it within our mind. If you try not to think, thoughts will inevitably come into your mind. By focusing on a single word or a phrase, you can use it to push out all of the other thoughts. When you meditate on a mantra, try to let go of your feelings, your opinions, and your desires. As you meditate, only concentrate on your mantra. If any thought comes into your mind, just let it pass and return to focusing on your mantra. You can use anything you want as your mantra during this meditation, but if you don't have a mantra you want to use, I usually suggest using the mantra of Kwanseum Bosal. Kwanseum Bosal is the name of the bodhisattva of love and compassion in Korean Zen. And a bodhisattva is an enlightened teacher devoted to helping others. Kwanseum Bosal is often depicted with thousands of eyes and hands and is said to be able to see the suffering of everyone and help those who call out her name. So using her name as your mantra, it will bring compassionate energy towards you while you meditate, and drawing this compassionate energy into your mind will help you focus and clear your mind while you meditate. Once again, if you want to use that mantra, it's Kwanseum Bosal. Kwanseum Bosal. Now let's meditate on this mantra for a few minutes. Now that we've used a few different methods of meditation to focus and clear our mind, I'd like to peel back a few more layers of our reality and turn our focus deeper into the true nature of our being and our awareness. I'd like you all to close your eyes for a moment. I want you to imagine yourself floating effortlessly in a boundless space that's completely dark and silent. You can't see or hear anything. You can't smell, taste, or feel anything in your surrounding environment. There's absolutely nothing stimulating any of your senses. Now imagine that you have complete amnesia. You have no memories of anything and no sense of time passing. You have no reason to feel sadness, happiness, anxiety, stress, or fear. You have no idea who you are, where you are, or how you got to where you are. You have no language to describe anything, and there's nothing to do. You sense nothing, and you have no idea about anything that ever existed. Yet you are aware, and you're having an experience. This is pure awareness. It is the fundamental, untainted experience of being. We all share this fundamental awareness. You can open your eyes now. My words are trying to guide you to the experience of pure awareness, but ultimately they can't explain what it is. The moment you try to explain it, you've tainted the experience. It's beyond words. It can only be experienced. Zen teaching is always trying to point you to that direct experience that is beyond your own senses, thoughts, and memories. Zen koans are questions, statements, or stories that also try and point you to that direct experience. They demand that you peel back all of these layers of perception until your awareness is completely focused in the moment. For our final meditation, we're going to focus on a critical phrase. A critical phrase is a short koan that points you directly to a deeper understanding. A critical phrase could be something like, who am I? Why am I here? What is the true nature of reality? Or what is the mind, the thing that's experiencing all of this? What's at the foundation of our being? A critical phrase should be something that points you to the very source of our existence. For the next few minutes, we're going to focus on a critical phrase. When you meditate on a critical phrase, don't try to answer the question. Just focus on that question and let it burn away all of the distraction and thought until your mind breaks free, revealing boundless clarity. Techniques that we practice today can help you learn how to focus your mind and peel back some of the layers of thoughts that cloud our perceptions of nature. My hope is that you might catch a glimpse of the true nature of yourself and the interconnectedness of the world that's constantly unfolding within our mind. I'm trying to guide you to a different type of experiential knowledge that can't be understood with words. Everything we perceive has been filtered by our senses. Our thoughts are constantly wandering to different places, contemplating the world, labeling things, reconstructing memories, characterizing our experiences, and projecting ideas about what might happen. This process can be helpful in some ways, but it's also the very source of our discontent and unnecessary suffering. This processing of our experiences is baked into everything we do, but we can balance this out with different forms of meditation. To do this, it's great if you can practice sitting meditation a little bit every day, even if it's just for 5 minutes. Think of it like this. If you constantly take out the things you use and leave them scattered around your room, it becomes a mess, and it's nearly impossible to find the things you need when you need them. After that, you need to clean your room and put everything back in its place, and then you can find everything you need when you need it. It's the same idea with your mind. You use your mind every day to think. It gets cluttered with thoughts that get scattered all around. If you meditate for 5 minutes, it's like cleaning your room. Afterward, it's clean and clear. Everything you need is there and ready to use. However, you can't sit and meditate all day. You have to feed yourself and live your life, and that brings up thinking, and different kind of things come into your mind. So how can you try to keep your mind clear all of the time? The key is to learn to remain focused on whatever you're doing without letting your mind wander. You have to stay focused on what you're doing as if that is your mantra. Then everything you do can become a meditation. Then you're constantly putting everything away right after you use it. This type of focused attention might sound simple, but it's not always easy to do. Initially, learning to focus requires effort. For most people, it requires practice. One way you can practice this type of moving meditation is by doing an activity that you enjoy that also demands your attention. It could be an artistic endeavor like drawing or painting, writing, dancing, or making music. It could also be a sport or a physical endeavor like yoga or weightlifting, riding a bike, or martial arts, something like that. Engaging in a physically challenging activity will also demand your attention and focus. It will also make your body stronger, which is also vital for maintaining your mental health. Even walking can be a form of meditation if you engage all of your senses to focus on everything going on all around you. If you can remain completely focused on the moment, you can reach a flow state where your actions flow through you without thinking. If you're completely focused on every moment, it can enrich your experience by elevating your awareness of everything going on around you. If you practice some form of sitting and moving meditation a little bit every day, eventually you can turn everything you do into a meditation. You can be meditating while doing your dishes, cleaning your home, or doing your work at your job. Zen is the sustained flow of attention without distraction, that it arises naturally when your mind becomes immersed in every moment. When your mind is completely engaged in the moment, it will be clear. Having a clear mind can have all sorts of practical benefits in your life. It sharpens your ability to focus and concentrate. A clear mind leads to clear thinking, which helps you make better decisions. If you make better decisions, you have less stress and anxiety and less things to be sad about. If you want to have a clear mind, I suggest getting started by practicing just a few minutes of sitting and moving meditation every single day. You can also expand your practice as much as you'd like, but don't ever skip a day if you can help it. Always try to do at least 1 minute. This is not easy to do. Something always comes up, but it makes your mind incredibly strong if you can do it. Try it for the next month, and then come back here and tell me how you do. Let me know if it makes a difference in your life. When you take what you've learned here today and apply this knowledge to every moment, this is the true wisdom of Zen. When you attain this wisdom, you'll see the true nature of everything in every moment. If you want to understand what I'm talking about, you need to experience it for yourself. To experience it, just keep practicing focusing your mind in every moment until you can learn to completely control your thoughts. When you can remain focused and engaged in every moment, you'll be able to control your thoughts. Then you'll become a true master of your own mind. I wish you all good luck in that journey. So that is the conclusion of the guided meditation, but I also always take questions at the end of my classes. It can be on anything regarding what I talked about, your own practice, your mind, anything. I'm happy to answer any kind of question you have. So, and this is my favorite part of class, so don't hold back if you have anything. A big part of Zen is like studying, trying to understand what your mind is, what's at the foundation of your being, like what is that there? And that's a key to understanding your own true nature. So I alluded to that a lot tonight, but that's why it's a big part of the Zen practice, is asking yourself that question, like, who am I? What's at the foundation of my being? What is my mind?
I was kind of wondering, like, in terms of like foods and stuff.
Yep.
Do you find some food? I mean, obviously, like, you want to eat healthy, and I think like that's probably the first step. But like, there's some, you have some foods that like you feel like help you, help better, like kind of the body, like.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's personally, it's going to be different for everybody. So I think it's hard to give like general advice. I think one thing people tend to overlook is actually just drinking a lot of water. I think that's like a really big thing that people forget. Yeah, but I think generally eating healthy foods, not too much sugar. I try to eat a lot of vegetables, like a lot of raw vegetables. But I know like certain vegetables don't sit well with me too. So, you gotta use your own discretion. But I think the way I usually tell people to approach that type of question is try to keep your mind clear, keep your body clear by drinking a lot of water, but also keep your mind clear. And then when you eat something, you'll recognize how that makes you feel. And then you'll know, is that a good fit for my body, and your needs will change over time too. Like sometimes you do need some sugar if you're completely depleted. You don't want to just have a rule like no sugar ever. Like sometimes a piece of fruit can be really good for you, especially like if you're doing a lot of exercise or something like that. So I think knowing what to eat at the right time, is very important, and to me the key is understanding yourself, understanding how the things you're taking in, learning to trust your intuition, like what your body is telling you you need in each moment, and learning to control the cravings, like if you have a sweet tooth, your body's always going to feel like it needs sugar, but after you eat it, you realize that's maybe not such a good idea, or you start to get like heavy and not feel good about, the way your body moves. So that would be the best general advice I could give is try to keep your mind clear, do this meditation practice, and through that you'll be able to understand your own body. Your mind will understand your own body better, and it will understand like what is just a craving versus what is the real need. And I think we all have that ability within ourselves. It's just something we kind of forget about. But it's easy to also be fooled by cravings too, where you're like, oh, I feel like I want some potato chips or something like that. Probably not a good idea to just go with whatever whatever you're feeling or eating because you're bored or something like that. Just try to really have a clear mind and try to be in touch with what's happening with your body, how different things make you feel. Same thing with like exercise. Like exercise is good, but too much is not good. So you gotta, and everybody's at different. If I say you should exercise 20 minutes a day or 3 hours a day, like some people that's not going to work for. So I think the clear mind part is why I always come back to that. That is what is going to tell you better than anybody else can tell you what you need in every moment.
I'm also curious how you've been able to find the balance between allowing yourself to feel feelings when they come up, but also still maintaining that present awareness and not over-identifying.
Yeah, so I'm just going to say that out loud so in case people online didn't hear. It's about the balance between feeling feelings and well, I don't remember exactly how you phrased it. I think I get the question, but
It's like maintaining that awareness but not over-identifying.
Yeah, maintaining the awareness but not over-identifying with them. To me, it does. I'm going to sound like a broken record, but it does come down to the clear mind aspect. So the feelings, no matter how clear your mind is, feelings are going to come up. You're going to feel things. Good things are going to happen, bad things are going to happen, and they're going to make you feel a certain way. That's totally natural. The problem comes when you hold on to those feelings too long and it starts to taint the other aspects of your life. So, if someone, this is a really easy example, like if someone cuts you off in traffic and you feel angry, that's probably justified. It maybe came close to costing you your life or something like that. But then do you go into the store and someone cuts you off and then you get really angry at them for excessively angry because you're still carrying that in from the moment before. So that's just like one indicator, an obvious indicator of like an instance where holding on to the feeling isn't healthy. But how do you find the balance, right? In my experience, the more you do these things, the meditation, the moving meditation, the quicker you can feel a feeling and come back to centering yourself in now, in this moment, and not carrying in the feelings from before. You acknowledge them. You don't necessarily forget about them, but you just try not to hold on to them and cling to them, and you try to let them pass. And it sounds really, really great to say, but it's really hard to do. And to me, the real key is having some sort of consistent practice, because this is like lifting weights or something. You don't lift heavy weights right off the bat. You start with a little and you work up and you build yourself up and you become better and better at lifting weights. It's the same with meditation. At first it's hard, and if you're really angry or sad or have anxiety, it's really hard to just be like, oh, I'm going to meditate and clear my mind. It really works best if you've been developing that routine, even when especially when times are good. Then you have this tool that's ready to use. And when you use it, it works much better if you've practiced it before. So it's not an easy answer. It's a simple answer, but it's not an easy answer. I really think it's helpful to practice this stuff, good times, bad times. Then it becomes much easier to use when someone's angry. You remember, oh, I need to take a few deep breaths right now. Just that slow and deep breathing that we did at the beginning of class it can work magic in the moment if you remember that you have that as a tool. But what are the odds you're going to remember it if you've just come to this class and then 6 months later something happens? Like if you practice it every day for a few minutes, then it's going to be fresh in your mind, and you're going to know, like, this is a tool, it works. And then, maybe that's not the one for you, maybe it's one of the other meditations, but having a set of tools that works for you. And the other aspect is learning to turn your actions into meditation. This is something a lot of people who teach meditation, I think sometimes they focus too much on the sitting and the posture, and the form of meditation is in sitting meditation, but I think meditation should be everything you do. So then, as something happens, you then return to focusing on what you're doing, and then it slowly, that feeling it softens. And I think it is, like your question implied, that it's important to keep the balance. But why is that? Because when you are having all of your mind tainted by these feelings, it's hard to gauge what the proper response is without if you're really angry, for instance. That's an easy one. Are you over, the tendency for me, if I'm angry, is I overreact. But if I can just take a moment, calm down my emotions, the anger could well be justified, but if you act out of that emotion, it's not going to be the right response. That's my experience. So I think that learning how to balance those things, learning what your tools are super important for maintaining that balance, and for not holding on to things longer, or even just, how to process like the trauma and the bad things that happen in your life. Like if you think about it too much, it can just snowball into something bigger than it is. But if you are able to push it out and just give it some space, when it comes back, you might have a whole different idea about how that should affect your life, or what you should do with that experience. So, but I keep coming back to the having the clear mind is the most powerful tool you have. But there are other, practices and tools that you use to keep that clear. Yeah, I mean, to go back to the metaphor of the messy room, like, yeah, you put thoughts all over. So anybody could, but then you also don't have control of when someone else comes in and throws all your stuff on the floor, like, and your thoughts go all over the place, like. But it's still your problem. You have to learn, like, what to do with all of that. And what I'm trying to give in this class is just a few tools that you can use on your own to put them away. And it doesn't have to be complicated. You don't need a lot of, like, rules, like, only, like, to go back to your question, like only eating certain foods, or like sleeping at certain times. Like, your clear mind will tell you all of the things you need to know, but it's the practice of that you put in to make it clear that actually makes that work. Any other questions? Follow up? Anything? Good questions, though. Thank you. I'm sure you're not the only ones who have questions like that, so I'm sure it's helpful for other people to hear. So, happy to answer more questions, but if no one has any, I'm just going to make a few closing announcements here. I hold these every month on the first Thursday, 7 to 8 p.m. Next month, I'm going to do it on the first Wednesday because it's July 4th weekend. It would have fallen on the 3rd of July, and I just think like people might have already started their weekends by then. So it'll be July 2nd from 7 to 8 p.m. And then on the third Thursday of every month, so 2 weeks from now, same time, I do a Dharma talk and a meditation. We do the mantra meditation for a longer period of time. And then I talk a lot more just about some subject tangential to Zen practice, the mind, our experiences of reality, those kind of things. It can go into many different directions. Sometimes it's really practical, sometimes it's a little more like cosmic in scope. So if you want to hear more about that or learn more about Zen practice, Zen philosophy, you're welcome to come and join us then. I also take questions after that, so you can come back and ask some more questions if you think of anything. I also, I was talking about the moving meditations. That's part of the reason I call this center the Zen Art Center, because I'm trying to teach that arts and different creative endeavors can be great forms of meditations, and also when you're bringing things from your mind out into reality, whether it's through like art or writing or music, you're getting a little glimpse of what's going on in your mind and what you're, taking something that's internal and putting it out in front of you. And I think that's a great way to learn about your own true nature through the creative process. So as part of that, I have writing groups where we just get together and write together. I also have an art group where we do art together. You basically just bring your own projects. We meditate for a few minutes together, and then we just work on art, and that's like our moving meditation. So the writing group's on the second and fourth Sunday of every month from 3:30 to 5. The art group's on the third Sunday of every month, same time, 3:30 to 5. So there's a writing group this weekend if you're interested in checking that out. And then I also, if you're interested in learning a new form of moving meditation or an art form, I offer sword and martial arts classes here as well. That was my first art, is how I learned about the moving meditation. My teacher was a Zen master and a martial arts master. So, yeah. If you have any other questions, you can find all the information on our website at mindlightway.org, and also post most of these on the meetup page as well, if that's where you found us. And you don't need any prior experience to participate in those classes. So you're welcome to ask me questions after class if you have anything, if you want to know anything more about those. Yes. What's the topic of the next Dharma talk? Not 100% sure, but I was thinking of talking about how, you ever hear people say like, the universe has your back? So I want to delve into that question. Does the universe have your back? And yeah, that's just I don't know. That's something I've been hearing a lot, and it made me think maybe I should talk about that a little bit. I don't think it's a very I think it's a very nuanced. I'll have a very nuanced way of talking about it. In closing, the Mind Light Way School of Zen is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We try to keep all these classes free and open to the public, but we do rely solely on donations to be able to continue to offer these classes. So if you found value and you'd like to support the school, there's information on how to make a donation near the doorway on the table there, and also in the description of the video and on our website. And your generosity in supporting these programs is greatly appreciated. Also, please join our mailing list if you want to stay updated on all these classes. I send out the schedule at the beginning of every month. And if you're here in person and you want to hang out and chat or talk in a more casual setting, I'll be here, and feel free to hang out and chat with me or anybody else here. And I hope to see you all come back. I'm trying to start a little community here of people who are interested in inspiring and encouraging each other to meditate and clear their mind and understand themselves better. So I'd love to have you here joining us more if that interests you. And thank you for coming out. Really appreciate it.